I don't know what any of this shit is, and I'm fucking scared.
First, you're gonna tell me about this science stuff.
Sorry about that. What is a scientist?
You caught me like I'm experimenting with
Science.
It's like magic with electricity.
I know that. I'm not stupid. I'm smarter than you.
The smartest scientists in the entire world all agree
Science is a liar sometimes.
Seriously, this could not seem less scientific.
Those idiots don't know anything about science.
It's science.
I believe it's pronounced science.
This is the least scientific thing I've ever seen.
so I'm just experimenting with them.
You be quiet.
Thank you, scientist.
Oh, that's right. I'm doing this part too. It's a very sight gag heavy intro,
Yeah.
which
That's
none
gonna-
of you will see.
That's gonna have to be a clip.
Yeah, maybe everyone will see it. See what? Under the guise of science, I'm Charlie,
Hi, I am Chris.
and we are phoning it in again,
Hell
folks.
yeah.
And
Yes,
what did
we
we
are.
do? We watched a good movie. We watched a good movie. We watched Young Einstein.
Good
we
as.
talked All right, so now that
Good is a little strong.
I will tell you this, I did not dislike it as much as I thought I was going to.
Okay.
I definitely chuckled and laughed way more. Like it was a lot more. You got me. like I wasn't planning on it, and like they got me with. Yeah, there was.
I feel like it's definitely a movie that if I watched again, I would enjoy more. There was a lot of getting used to what the hell is going on. Like there's. I think that was the first pill to swallow.
I think I enjoyed it more on the first rewatch, just because I was pausing it, and I realized with the amount of times I had to pause it, like I got through the first hour last night and paused it a bunch. This was the second time in 5 days, which is the third
Damn.
time in 40 years, probably.
So yeah,
But,
you increase your average.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
The amount of times I had to pause it to write notes for this fucking thing.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, get it. It's a comedy. However,
Right. Yeah, we still have trying to do something, doing something here.
there's only so much disbelief we can suspend.
Yeah.
Can't do all of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're walking in. It opens well. I'm not even getting into the plot, but just the opening credits where it lists this person as Einstein, this person is Marie Curie, this person is Darwin, and I was like, no, I don't think the ages are right here. And yeah, I think Darwin died when Einstein was like 3. Like the overlap just didn't add up. And so yeah, suspension of disbelief for sure.
Yeah, there is we'll get to all that.
Yes,
as we get to that in the movie, because I have a bunch of notes on that stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely excited to talk about this one. I only watched it once, so I'm like I said, a lot of it was me just getting used to this sense of humor in general, because Yahoo Serious is probably an acquired taste.
So he was 35 when this movie was made.
Okay.
I actually texted my dad like 2 weeks ago. The first time we jokingly brought up Young Einstein, and I looked up Yahoo Serious, and I just texted my dad out of the blue. I was like, "By the way, in case you were worried, you are younger than Yahoo Serious from Young Einstein." He was like, "Oh,
wow.
Great." I was losing sleep every night, but
Yeah, so I guess
glad
that
you
would make
reminded
him
me.
70-ish in that
Yeah.
region, because this had to have been this movie is 35 years old. So
yeah, he was born in 1953.
okay.
Crazy. Yahoo Serious was born 6 years after the atomic bomb was dropped.
Wow. Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah,
It feels like ancient history, but
it
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It does, and yet This motherfucker's out here jumping around, having big dumb hair in the late 80s and making money off of it.
Yeah. Somehow.
This movie turned a profit, not in the U.S. Warner Brothers took a big stinking hit on this.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it was
in the motherland.
In the motherland. So I will get to that fact in a minute.
Okay.
So the budget was $5 million total, and he started trying to get this movie made in 1983, and he had a short made of it. It was about an hour long. Then he got more people to invest more money. And then eventually it bumped the whole budget up to $5 million. And then Crocodile Dundee came out. And then Warner Brothers was like, oh, shit. I bet everything from Australia is hilarious.
People love Australia. I could tell based on this one movie that was a big hit.
Just guys producers who have been up for 3 to 4 days straight, just doing copious amounts of cocaine, be like, no. Australia. Everything is no. The best movies for the next 15 years is going to be Australia. Just sign everybody that comes out of Australia. It's going to be great.
I think Simpsons did an episode on that, right? Like that, or at least there was a part of an episode where there was like Australia hoped that everything was going to go because of Crocodile Dundee, like their tourism was going to go up. So like when Simpsons went to Australia, there was like a rundown part of it or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was the Bart makes a collect prank phone call to Australia, and then he gets summoned to Australia, and they have to
boot him
a giant boot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good jokes in that one.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of that one, so derailing a bit. But yeah, it's.
Oh, you played Knifey Spoony, eh?
I see you played Knifey Spoony before.
There you go. So this movie made $25 million on a $5 million budget in 1988, which is decent.
Yeah,
Very
good for
decent.
him. Good for them.
So here's my favorite fact about it. Of the $25 million it made 11.5 in the States. It made $13 million in Australia and became the 5th biggest opening in Australian film history behind Crocodile Dundee, Crocodile Dundee 2, Rocky 4.
Interesting.
And Fatal Attraction.
What the fuck, Australia?
Right. Just a lot of everyone in Australia was just like, I don't care what kind of film or media it's in. I don't care if it's in a magazine. I need to see Glenn Close have sex.
Yeah.
They were clamoring at the doors of all the movie theaters.
Right. Yeah. The first two were root for the home team. The third one, I'll just chalk up to everyone was crazy during the Cold War, and it was I don't know why.
Yeah,
Rocky
well, they were like, all right. They said everyone can change. I can change. You can change. And they went to the movies, and it was great. Right. Fucking Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
We've all killed rabbits and left them on the stove before. We have.
That's lunch in the Outback.
That's lunch in the Outback. If you don't name that the name of your autobiography, I'm gonna be upset. Also, if you don't write an autobiography,
I was gonna say now I gotta write an autobiography. God damn it! That wasn't in the works at all.
Well, with a title that good, who's gonna shoot that down?
That's kind of how this podcast started.
Fuck! Now I got to do this too.
It's a hell of a title, though.
Oh, man. All right. Any preambles you'd like to discuss before, or do you want to just get right into it?
Just in general, with the exception of the very, very end, because I thought it was cheesy. but like for an 80s soundtrack, this was a home run as an 80s. Like I wouldn't listen to this in my car, but like if I was gonna, I don't know, imagine a quintessential 80s soundtrack in my mind, this was kind of it.
Yeah, so it's I'm glad you brought that up. I will go back to the Wikipedia page because especially the second time around, because I was watching it with the closed captions on, and it was
Okay.
They were playing all the lyrics to everything, but it's this band Mental as Anything, this Australian band who is like a new wave pop, 80s. If you hear it, it's like, oh shit, that's 80s music, synth pop type shit.
Right.
They sounded like they definitely hung out with what's that band called? Midnight Oil. Like they have that kind of I don't know if that. I assume they do. I feel like that's the one time it's not racist when you're talking to Australians to be like, you all know each other.
Right.
They definitely do.
Right. You flew over here together.
And like, if you look at the layout of the population density of that country, it is almost all on the southeast coast is where predominant. And then it's just the outback. Like most of that country is just fucking wallabies and kangaroos.
It belongs to the wildlife.
Yeah. Biggest snakes and spiders and lizards and all the biggest fuckers you've ever laid eyes on.
Yikes.
Yeah, so obviously they all know each other. They all live in the same fucking... we live in the same state.
It's not like you get big as a band and you didn't know this other band from your scene that was also getting big or also got big. Yeah, no, it's just because it's got to be, like you said, there's only so many places you can go to see a show. So that scene probably is pretty close.
But yeah, it definitely fit. And, I will... Yeah, fuck it. So the end of the movie, it doesn't do anything with the plot. The end of the movie ends with him playing a song that definitely, the movie takes place largely from 1905 to 1906. And this song definitely came out in the 50s or 60s, the original version of that song. Even if it came out in the 80s, it doesn't matter. One of my biggest pet peeves on the fucking planet in movies and shows is when anachronistic songs from out of the time period they are involved, not just as the soundtrack, but when the people involved are either singing it or aware of the song happening. I will now give you examples because I have some.
I can. Can I just start with Michael J. Fox and teaching Chuck Berry rock and roll? Is that one of the examples that you're talking about?
I will see. Here's the thing: it only works with reverse. If it's taking place before the song came out, drives me up a fucking wall.
But because he's from the future, so he knew it.
Right. So then that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except for the whole part about undermining Chuck Berry.
Right. And,
but
you're right. That was the sole example of white people taking music from black people.
Which I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Chuck Berry is also a thief. Because the inventor of rock and roll was Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
All right.
Yeah, she was a gospel singer, but she brought in her electric guitar and used to do little scales on this was like in the 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, there's elements of rock and roll from the 20s even, but like she was in the 40s. She was like the one that the whole swing, like that whole idea of music in general back then, but doing it with the electric guitar, doing it with gospel music. So it all started with her. I know who was it? Maybe Muddy Waters. I forget who. A big blues guy, either Muddy Waters, maybe B.B. King. I forget, but used to take her out on tour. Now B.B. King's way later, so yeah, it must have been Muddy Waters.
B.B. King's not dead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. So no.
Surprisingly, though, I feel like he was old when I was a kid.
Yeah. But he's not. Yeah, he's not ancient like that. He wasn't big in the 40s.
Yeah, Muddy. Oh, he's big in a lot of the other decades. All right.
But yeah, so she was actually. So it's
That's
still,
right.
It's a black woman rather than, you know. So extra credit for black people and women folk.
Yeah. So back to stuff that made me angry.
Yeah, sorry.
Quite all right. Quite all right. It's you jogged that in my memory. I just found that out within like the last year or two, so I'm glad to have that back. But yeah, so songs that are newer than the time period when they're singing it in. For example, here's one of my favorites, and here's where I realized I hated it, and I believe you were there. I got hoodwinked into going to see Knight's Tale in the movies. Were you with me for that? It's definitely with Bob Loeffler. I don't know if he listens, but this is your fault if you do, because I was like, I don't know if I want to see that.
Is Knight's Tale? I'm trying to think. Who was that? Was that Martin Lawrence?
No, that was the Black Knight. Knight's Tale is Heath Ledger.
Okay, I did not see that in movies.
Yeah, we saw that in the movies, and it was fucking terrible. Like they're like doing like "We Will Rock You," like they're doing like the
okay, yeah.
While they're getting ready to fucking joust. That was the first time in my life I've gone to a movie and something happened in the movie, and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like
you don't even have plumbing. Don't go stealing from Queen. Yeah,
fucking bullshit.
Right.
I don't know if that was the impetus or that was the reason. That was where I realized I hated it. But it comes up every now and again. What's that movie? Shit. The one that
some of the movies.
Moulin Rouge. There you go.
Okay.
That all the music from that movie is all music. It's all contemporary music. And the movie takes place in like the late 1800s.
Yeah.
It's like that song didn't come out. Stop. You guys don't know how that song went. And that
right.
I don't know. That could just be me. That could just be me getting annoyed. It takes me out of it completely.
That's a very hateable thing, and absolutely, I'm totally on board with that.
Good.
Because there was some Peter Pan movie that came out recently. Same shit with I can't remember the song that it was, but it was like supposed to be the origin of Hook. It was like him as a kid, how he got kidnapped and brought to Neverland or whatever. But yeah, they were singing. It was like a '90s rock song, and yeah, like the group is chanting it as without music and just what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah,
stop trying to. Why did you spend money to license that song for that?
Right.
You just have it playing in the background.
Yeah.
Like fucking. Yeah, it's.
I'm the wrong person to talk. I hate musicals in general because the whole concept of musicals takes me out of it. Because all of a sudden because I'm sitting there going, how the fuck did she know the words? She was sitting there. They just met, and now all of a sudden they're choreographed dancing, and everyone on the street. So me and my wife had the idea to make a movie with a musical, but like not starring the main character would be a side character in the musical that just came to town that doesn't know the dance steps yet. So like you see the main character shit going on across the street, and he has to like stop sweeping, and he doesn't know exactly how to step. So like he goes to the bar. He's like, I hate when that couple comes by. I don't know what the fuck. And they're like, you'll get it. Don't worry.
Oh man. So the person just doesn't fit in the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
They're trying to get in with this musical town, but doesn't quite get it yet.
Finally,
so there's a learning curve that they never explain with musicals.
A fucking relatable musical.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I still don't fit in, even at the end. It's Jesus Christ.
There's a happy ending for the main character, but the main characters to him, but like for your movie, he's just like, this still sucks. Yeah, it's still good.
I think the only like I'll go to. I mean, I go to whatever tickets I'm given. obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
but the ones I really enjoy and would like going to are the anything that's comedy, because usually the comedy ones, at least the ones I've enjoyed, like Beetlejuice was great. It was just constantly making fun of the fact that it was a musical, even while it
Yeah,
was,
tongue in cheek.
yeah, dude, give me all the tongues and all the cheeks. That's what I
Right.
want. Give me a
we
cheek
both
full
know.
of tongues.
Right.
That's what I want. Just acknowledge that you think it's ridiculous also.
Right.
And then I can accept it, and then cool, whatever you have to
Right.
say.
We can both get on that level that now I can, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
My intelligence is not insulted, basically. Yeah. Like
yeah,
you
good.
just said.
You also think this is insane that somebody would do this in the first place.
Yeah. Speaking of insane that someone would do this in the first place, let's get back to Young Einstein.
Yeah. Let's get back to Yahoo.
Yeah.
So let's see. Who won the moon contest? You, right?
I did.
All right, so I'll read my first fact then.
Go, yeah.
Tasmanian Devils don't look anything like that. If you have that fucking one.
I didn't exactly say that, but I did make note that Tasmanian Devils exist and not like that. Yeah.
I did a fucking diorama on Tasmanian Devils in 3rd grade, probably because of this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's probably a combination of that and the Taz. Not What About You, Taz? Not that one, because that's like 10 years after that. But and they just look like they're foxes. Like everything. There are so many things on Australia and New Zealand that just look like wombats and koalas and fucking foxes and Tasmanian devils. They're all like they're mammals, but they're also rodents. Like there's a lot of that. And
they're angry jerk-offs. Yeah.
Feel like, well, we all evolved from the same shit on this island because nothing else could breed with us because we evolved on our own.
And as Australian citizens, you would think that they knew what they look like, but in this case, I think it was the only furry costume that they had in Sydney or wherever at the time. So they were just like, "Here, put this on, and we'll say Tasmanian Devil."
It was definitely a little person in a costume, and that they would not cut armholes in it so the shoulders look big, because that's 1,000% what it was.
Yeah.
Especially,
it's probably the same little person that was later in the movie. There was another little person. So
the Bavarian beer maker.
Twice. Right? Yeah. They're gonna pay 2.
Which, by the way, we are actually a minute and a half into actually talking about the movie now, and we just said a bunch of nonsense.
The whole movie was nonsense. I know it's obviously fiction, but. I mean, go ahead.
This, like, when movies have and this didn't have it even in the title card, but when they say based on a true story, this technically could have had that. Because, yes, Albert Einstein did meet Marie Curie.
Yeah, a couple times, sure. Yeah. They knew each other, absolutely.
Yeah, they were photographed together.
Right.
But yeah, other than that,
there was an age gap, and also Einstein definitely wasn't from Tasmania.
No, he was not.
And Marie Curie was not French too. That's something that we in recent episodes we talked about. She was Polish.
We did that. That fact keeps coming up a lot in my notes,
right?
At various points, because they keep driving home that it's French.
Yeah,
but
and also Einstein definitely did not come up with any of Newton's laws, which is what he was doing throughout the beginning of this movie with equal and opposite reaction, and there was a couple of before EMC squared. Most of the stuff that he was talking about, was Newton's laws.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I was like, I don't know if that was him.
Yeah.
That's
And there was, I mean, I think Isaac Newton exists in whatever universe this movie exists in. I think they mentioned him at some point.
Yeah, I think there's a book that they talk about called like Young Newton.
Yeah. Yep. Unless
which is kind of
joke
amusing.
because Young Einstein and Young Newton. I get it.
Yeah, but yeah, like the initial apple falling from the tree, hitting him on the head, and then But they like kind of drove that home a few times. But yeah, that was not his. That's what I fucking thought.
Yeah.
See, that's why I do this with you, because you can tell me when to not just accept bullshit at its word.
I mean, you knew already.
Like, well, here's what I wrote about that. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Number one, like Doc Brown hits his head and you can come up with brilliant ideas. That's all it takes in 80s movies. Just hit your head and you'll come up with a fucking world-changing idea. That's all you got to do. So just going to bang my head on a bunch of shit.
If you're smart enough, concussions are good. They're only bad for football players and people that need motor skills. But
oh my God.
Yeah, if you're a dreamer, give yourself a concussion.
Just drop something on your head or just fall off of something and let your head take the brunt of the impact.
Let your kid close the car door on your head. And invent an app.
And my other thing about that was, and then he proves it on the first try.
Oh yeah,
like
he did a lot of that.
Yeah, it was a lot of just. I've thought of this. Oh, cool! I get it. That's it. No papers, no peer-reviewed science. None of that. Just here's the thing I thought of. That sounds good. It's like you are setting science back 300 years.
Except for his dad. His dad was the best. That he was like, I'm going to study the universe, Dad. And he was like, all right, you can study the universe when you're done cleaning this shit up. Like, he didn't have time for none of that.
He's a man of the land.
Yeah.
Like he said, he liked to keep balance between nature, or being in a balance with nature, and then just killed everything he could.
He told him to flood the valley to kill it all at one shot.
So when he's sitting on the front porch and he's playing the fucking violin, number one, all their dishes and silverware just definitely have balls on them at all times, if that's how you're washing your dishes, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
All right. Well, that's just terrible.
Yeah, it's just ball sweating.
But there was just a kangaroo laying down next to him. There's no way that kangaroo wasn't drugged, right? They definitely.
Oh, back then, I'm sure. There was a handful of things with animals in this that, maybe.
Yeah,
one in particular that your username is named after. I don't know about this,
but I didn't watch all the way to the end credits just to make sure that they had the thing of no animals were hurt during the making of this movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because I know some animals were hurt.
I don't need the confirmation. Some may have died. Some animals might have died during the making of this movie.
I did like there was a bunch of sight gags that made me laugh. Just it was real slapsticky at times.
Yes,
a lot of fun visual gags that like kind of caught me off guard. That it was like that's the stuff where I was like, all right, I wasn't planning on laughing this much at this movie, but you fucking you won me over.
Yeah,
but his mom making a sweater directly from the back of the sheep. Like, that's a solid joke.
Right.
That's cartoony. It was very cartoony.
There was a lot and audio or which is however it goes through your ears, because there's visually. What's the other one? Audibly
or orally, spelled AUR.
Yeah, orally. But yeah, there was a lot of cartoony stuff with the sound effects.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
bing, wang, twing. A lot of that stuff going on.
Yeah. A lot of
Which I think is a dead-on impression.
was ding wang twang. That's my impression of your impression of sound effects.
It was even better than my impression, I think.
I apparently have a lot of notes from like the first 10 minutes. But
I think my hand got tired.
his mom throwing the tub of water out the back door after the shower, got it all over herself. It's like,
Right,
there's no way that was the first time. Yet it
they didn't do that one take.
They did the take. It was like, I got it all over me. And like, well, we haven't got another take, so you're gonna have to fucking. We'll try again later if we got time. Till then, fuck off. All right, I've said a bunch of mine now in a row.
Oh, what was the song he was playing with the violin? Was that the Stones?
Oh yeah. When he was sitting in the tub, it was Satisfaction.
He's
playing Waltzing Matilda, big Australian hit.
Okay. Never.
You definitely recognize the melody. You'd be like, oh, that's what that is.
Okay.
But yeah, he's playing that, and then he starts doing that, just slamming the bow against it, so it sounds like he's plucking it and going bow, 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 now.
Yeah.
It just annoyed me the amount of times during the movie it was like, oh, I've just come up with a new this thing. And it's like, fucking stop. Nobody does
Guess what
that.
I invented now. Yeah.
I realize what I'm getting mad at, but still.
I just made the formula for splitting atoms. What? That's not what that was.
So, speaking of that, they go down to he tells his dad he wants to be a physicist, and he's like, well, we're going to go down to Granddad's shed, which he's lived there for how long, and now he's just finding out about Granddad's shed, which means Albert Einstein's father was real good at hiding his alcohol problem, because he had a shed on the property that nobody knew about, that he was just sticking off to and drinking.
You just threaten violence from when they're young enough. If you ever go in that shed, I'll fucking kill you. And then I'll go in the shed. It's like when you see an elephant tied to a stake, and you're like, you can pull that stake out of the ground, no problem.
Yeah.
You do it when they're a baby, and then they get used to it. They don't know any better.
Yeah, it's traumatizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Trauma
traumatize them.
A fantastic teacher.
Right, yeah. Traumatize them in a way that benefits you. And then it's good. and then it's good.
Don't traumatize them too much. Just traumatize them just enough so you can keep drinking in secret.
Right. There's a sweet spot when it comes to trauma. You got to hit that sweet zone.
That sweet trauma, alcoholism, sweet spot. That's perfect.
Right. Therapy, maybe one prescription, not 2 prescriptions. That's too much. Just in that therapy to 1 prescription zone.
The talking about it to talking about it and slightly altering the brain chemistry.
Just to sleep.
Hey,
you need your rest. What the hell are we talking about?
Got fucking dark. Got real fucking dark.
Disclaimer, I do not do this with children, and Charlie has no children. So
not anymore.
All these are jokes.
So he Anyway, his father brings him to the shed for the good reason, to show him beer and
Yeah.
science.
Yeah.
Which is a bunch of
Best reason.
Rube Goldberg or Goldfarb. I get them confused. One of them
Goldberg.
is yeah, there it is. All right, fair enough. Goldfarb sounds fun though. It's a bunch of beer. Like he's just been making beer and says no one's ever put bubbles in beer and they can't figure it out. But British scientist Joseph Priestley produced the first carbonated beverage in 1767, more than 240 years prior.
Whoops.
Granted, it wasn't in beer, but it was in a beverage, and it was beer.
Right, it was
very soon after that.
And so, yeah, Google didn't exist at this point. So you would have had to have like gone to a library and read encyclopedias and stuff like that to figure it out. So maybe they didn't feel like looking into it. They just assumed everyone wouldn't know. Little did they know we would review it 35 years later. And, let them...
and tear it apart limb from limb.
Let them... Yeah. You missed the mark, Yahoo.
Hey, you got anything on that?
Just that's when Yahoo or that's when Young Einstein figures out that splitting the atom somehow would put beer in bubbles in beer, and he gets his chisel, and as I was writing, that's fission that would do more than add bubbles to beer. The shed exploded, and this was the first serious explosion that Albert Einstein was involved in, that he walked away from unscathed, except covered in soot.
just his skin
but it wasn't
covered.
the last. Yeah, it's just progressively darker ash as it went on. It was, yeah. I mean, you could have replaced him with like Wile E. Coyote or something like that, and it would have been just as fitting. A lot of this.
I mean, his name is. If you had to choose between, like, if you had no context of popular culture, and you're like, all right, pick the less ridiculous name, Yahoo Serious or Wile E. Coyote.
Right.
Yeah, it's. Either they're both ridiculous.
Right, equally. Equally, you are a cartoon.
So this obviously relates to this, to what you just said, but all I wrote for this note apparently was split a beer atom. 1 atom of beer, please. Because I guess. Oh yeah, because there's no atoms of beer. It's
that's completely a compound of some kind. Yeah,
it's a complex compound at that point.
He mentions it later. He says, "Yeah, they're talking about splitting the atom." He said, "I split a Tasmanian beer atom." And it's funny because I was like, I didn't laugh at the time, but I was like, I'm probably going to laugh at this later. Mental note.
So he was, as he was walking around drunk when he got drunk with his dad, I did want to point out that he was singing Hava Nagila. And I was like, the sole reference to Albert Einstein still being Jewish is him drunkenly walking through a stream singing Hava Nagila.
They kept that fact.
They did. That's how they. That was in reshoots at the end. They were like, "Oh, you didn't bring up that he was Jewish at all this whole time." Don't worry, I got an idea for that.
Yeah, just have him sing.
Just drunkenly sing Hava Nagila.
And they also kept that it was 1905. That's it. That was Einstein's miracle year. So they.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was when he came up with the 4 things.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh no shit! All right, so did he come up with any of those 4 things in this movie?
He kind of. He mentioned on the train that light is a wave and a particle.
Okay.
And the particle thing was one of them. They didn't do the Brownian motion.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't mention that. I guess they didn't have diners at the time. Special relativity, he did mention that, but he came up with general relativity before special relativity in this movie.
Okay.
General relativity came, I think it came the year after. It was, what was the 4th? Oh, E equals MC squared, yeah. So those are the 4 things.
Oh, EMC.
Yeah.
I remember the first time they said it, it was like, oh, that's right. That was a joke from this movie. And by the last one, I was like, all right, it's funnier every time. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do like that you're embracing this joke. Oh, good shit. All right. So,
Yeah.
hey, there's your first point, Young Einstein.
Yeah, something. There's some stuff, I guess. Einstein was a person. He had ideas. Okay.
So he realizes that he can split an atom, and he wants to go patent this EMC, E equals MC squared. So he has to go from Tasmania to Sydney, Australia.
Via rowboat, which, according to current ferries that they have, it takes about 10 hours by a ferry, a motorized ferry, today. It's about 250 kilometers. And also, so once he gets on the other side, once he gets to us, like mainland Australia from Tasmania, he's going up and down mountains and fucking through the desert and every other thing in the world. He is going to Sydney, which is probably equidistant from where he would land to. Yeah, and I mean,
it's not that far.
Sydney, if I'm not mistaken, Sydney has a harbor too. Like if he was already able to go from Tasmania to Australia by rowboat, just like row a little more.
Yeah. Why would you walk through the fucking desert and up and down a mountain?
There's a place with a ladder. Go to that. So smart.
Oh, there's book smart and sea
boat smart.
Yeah.
Ocean smart.
Yeah, all right, you got 2, beat me 2-1. Seaboat smart it is. Yeah, it was like that was one of like 2 or 3 times in this movie that they're like, well, we're just gonna do a music video for this Australian band who did our entire soundtrack now.
Yeah.
Just montage him doing.
There was a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was even a lot of him like mouthing and pointing and some people just like overacting while music was playing. There's some scenes like that.
Lots of like, I'm going like this, and lots of, I know, and I'm just going to point back at you like this so we can both go like this. Yeah.
2 different ways of pointing. And, eyebrows are raised and lowered.
I'm serious. Look at how my hand is up here, and then I bring it down some.
Yeah, that surprised me. I'll raise my eyebrows and point in the other direction. Yeah. And then he jumps a train or something. Like, I don't know. All of a sudden he's on a train.
Yeah, he finds a skeleton that is also sitting on a suitcase, much like him.
Yep.
And it's like, cool. Well, the train has to stop eventually.
Right. Yeah. This guy just missed it and rotted, but it's got to be soon.
Surely it can't be too much longer. So that's the first time we meet Marie Curie.
Marie Curie and
who is
Preston
French.
Preston.
Yeah, Preston. I have that written as well.
Okay.
I got a few chuckles I got a few chuckles from him just because
Yes.
I would like to eat your suitcase while he's trying to speak French to her. That's what he says.
That was my first out loud like guffaw for this movie. Where it was like, all right. Because like you said, there was some other sight gags that were cute that I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
It was more like a acknowledgement of funny joke, but didn't get anything out of me. But that one got me. I would like to eat your suitcase.
Gonna put that in.
And she was like, what? He was like, oh, thank God you speak English.
That's the only sentence I learned how to say. I know exactly what it means.
That's just all I got.
That's all I know how to say in French. But the what the hell is it? They stop.
Marie Curie, sorry.
They stop right when he's for him to get on the train. The train comes to a halt in the middle of the desert. And he just mushes his face against the glass looking out in the fucking desert. It's like, what are you doing? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then
it's big on ridiculous.
And then he's explaining how a record player works. And then finishes it up by, while saying the words makes it louder, just screams, makes it louder! Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. Where's this guy been the whole movie? This guy's been crushing it for the 2 minutes he's been on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the whole, like you said, Marie Curie being French and him not knowing who she is and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was a lot of interesting stuff here.
Yeah.
No, Preston, you hate him too, but yeah.
You do. He is the villain, but they do make him pretty silly and pretty enjoyable. I was almost mad with how much of a villain he was. It was like, come on, dude, you were hilarious.
Yeah, lay off.
Yeah.
Get back to that.
Just go
Get back to your roots.
Yeah, lean into your strong suits there, fella.
Okay. It was the first time we saw Marie Curie, the first time we meet Preston, and we get our first actual Einstein quote where they said, gravity is what wait, how did it work? Matter causes space to curve and space tells matter how to move. That whole how gravity works.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was an actual Einstein quote?
Yeah.
Nice.
That is general relativity.
Okay.
Einstein's ultimate theory that kind of went the pillar of physics in a way.
So I like how he just casually describes the observer effect and the double slit experiment just before he starts explaining that. Like, because he was talking about Preston was talking about sound moving.
Yeah.
And sound moves in waves. And then I think he said something about light moving in waves, and Einstein young Einstein anyway. Yeah, like
Preston said light's a wave, Marie Curie said light's a particle.
Yeah.
And then he said actually it's both.
Right.
Yeah.
Which caused me to look up that he starts describing the observer effect and the double slit experiment. That was the double slit experiment was first performed in 1801, but I wrote even here I don't know when the observer effect became a thing.
Okay.
I
probably not too long after, because I would imagine that's kind of where it was either hypothesized and proven in the double slit experiment, or the double slit experiment was the thing that opened the door to like, what the hell is this? And then it was shortly after.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell is this? Well, what about when we look at it? Well, why is it different now? Like that.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
And it kind of alluded to this earlier. I love that it's just, wow, that's amazing, and just took him at his word on it. Like, this dude shows up in her train car covered in dirt and filth, says he's splitting at him, and has a simplified theory that he's summed up, and she doesn't ask to check his work at all. Just like, wow, that is amazing. Like, how do you
that's amazing. I also like atoms.
Yeah. How do you just get that?
Yeah.
Like, I've been we've been doing this podcast for close to a fucking year at this point, and I barely get it.
Yeah, she's just like, yep, I'm on board.
Wow,
Let's do
this
it.
has never there is no plethora of ways for me to look into this to understand how this is happening. You just said this idea, got it. Next, what else are we talking about?
Right.
Let's get back to this guy pressing his nose against the fucking glass, looking outside and explaining science to me.
Yeah, and you know it's funny because the Marie Curie episode we mentioned how that was like her discovering that atoms change and decay, and different elements decay into other elements was the first inclination, I guess, that an atom isn't the smallest unit; that there is smaller things than that, and then eventually that was the first step on the road to splitting an atom at some point. So
yeah. So
there's a little bit of a tie in there, I guess, with her actual work.
But she was already knowing that shit at that point.
She'd been knowing that.
Been knowing that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
So they get to Sydney. Do you have any more on them in the train car?
I do not. Yeah.
All right.
No.
So we're gonna get right to when he arrives in Sydney and gets to the hotel.
Okay.
Unless you have anything prior to that.
I don't.
So he gets.
No, my notes kind of do a similar thing. They start more than half the page is what we talked about.
Right.
So I'll interrupt if any comes. Okay. So you can kind of roll on.
So they get to the hotel and he walks upstairs and he's trying to check in. And there's these two ladies there who I'm assuming are prostitutes.
Yeah, it was heavily implied.
Yeah, there's very heavy implication. She says, "What's that in your pants?" And he pulls out his compass. And,
gigantic.
Yeah, and they moan, and they make some kind of like kind of noises. And then he says he wants to have a room with a window, and they were clearly very turned on by that. Is it just random things that they get turned on by? Like, ooh, a compass. Ooh, a room with a window. Ooh, it's like, what the? Oh, someone has a xylophone hanging from a tree. Oh, my God. Like, what the fuck is...
It's just the dude doing stuff.
It's the guy just agreeing to things. Or acknowledging that things are happening.
Yeah, I don't understand where the window tied into that either.
Also, every single person who looks at the formula says EMK, but then understands it completely.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
And then they're like, oh, okay, yep. Like the same Marie Curie thing. Like,
yeah,
sure, we can suspend our disbelief to she's already got a Nobel under the belt.
Yeah, and I mean like for her, sure, but yeah, the Bavarian beer makers. I mean, we'll get to them later, but they just read that once, said EMK, and then we're like, yep, we'll do
EMK,
it.
do you think it's gonna work? It's like, motherfucker, you understood it by reading it apparently, so obviously it's gonna work.
Right, there's no question. It couldn't not work.
All right. So my next chunk of notes is involved on him inventing rock music. Apparently, I don't
coming up with a formula because girls are playing hopscotch.
Yeah. So he says downbeat on 1 and 3, backbeat on 2 and 4. The upbeat acceleration is equal to the escape velocity of the downbeat. Upbeat equals downbeat. In that state, gravity will roll to the downbeat. Therefore, the body motion must rock to the upbeat. A new musical theory, roll and rock. Man, if that isn't somebody fucking rerouting into the mainframe, like
it's. I wanted to punch him in the gut.
Yeah,
a couple
it's
times.
Just nonsense, word salad, bullshit. Just like, ugh, stop it.
Yeah, why does he have to invent rock and roll?
Yeah, he's already changing the fucking world
Yeah.
by splitting beer atoms.
And it was at this point where I was like, what was the fucking point of this movie? What was the end goal? Like what someone had to have like Yahoo Serious had a good idea. This was his idea where we're just gonna have him like he'll invent science and rock and roll and surfing and like what why?
To what end?
Yeah.
How fucking cool does one guy have to be?
Yeah. I think no, we're not up to it yet. I'll tell you when we get there. But we get actually yeah. So after the formula for rock and roll, I don't know. Kim, do you have anything else before the patent office?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So when he gets to the patent office and he brings in his E equals MC squared formula, and the guy yells at him for coming in there and not having an invention, and then he walks out. This is the second time that I really, really guffawed, gave a very loud outlet, and it was a very, very racist joke.
Oh.
So I don't know what this says about me, but he's there and he says, "So wrong."
Yep.
And an Asian guy walks past him and says, "So wrong."
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Right. But it was in the 80s. That shit was cool.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Just we all think this, don't we? Just
right, yeah.
just cheeky, lighthearted racism. Nothing crazy.
Right.
You're just saying
But
something.
And at the same time, this movie was, I guess, fairly progressive for the 80s. But yeah, there was that in particular was the one thing that not only caught me off guard, but like later on, we'll get to it. But they have Wright brothers where one of them was black. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
It's on the cutting edge of stuff.
Plus, they were, I mean, to some degree, like they're definitely undercutting Mary Curie. But at the same time, they were still kind of like the movie wouldn't have got done without her.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
She was definitely a driving force. And it wasn't.
She wasn't damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Kind of bullshit either. Yeah.
She was a very strong lady. There you go. I don't have a fun way to say that, so that's what I'm saying. But yeah,
sure.
I'm sure the So Wrong clip exists on YouTube, so we'll find that and share that.
Okay.
There's no way it doesn't.
Right.
So my next thing is when he first gets thrown out of the classroom, which Einstein did. The reason Einstein worked in the patent office in real life was because a lot of his professors didn't like him because he was just saying wild shit that they were like, no,
really?
No way. So him getting thrown out of the classroom where he just erases everything. So on the chalkboard, it says E equals, and then like an entire chalkboard of various maths. And then he just wipes it with his hands and just writes MC squared. It's like, no, you've been going about it all wrong.
Right. But like the professor's like, okay, maybe, but that's not what this lesson was. We would E equals other things. It's not only MC squared.
Have you read my syllabus? You know what I'm even teaching. But then, so when he gets thrown out of the classroom, there's a couple in the hallway kissing who look just stationary. And then he gets thrown out of the school, and him and Mary go walking. And everyone in the background is just standing still there. I don't know why, just like everybody there was just standing still in the background. Yeah. I don't know what Yeah.
Was that the with the clock?
Yeah, so the three dudes in the foreground, that was when they when he drops the compass or whatever, and then he goes, "Oh, that's right." Again, just like he just has an idea, and it's a finished idea instead of working on it for years and writing things down and crossing things out and going, "No, that was wrong. Let me try this again. No, that was wrong. Let me try this again." But
page on page after page of equations and all that. Yeah.
But no, if we were moving away from the clock at the speed of light, it would look like time wasn't moving because the light would. Yeah.
Which is special. Which is his theory of special relativity, which again he came up with before the general relativity theory. So flip flop that about the curve and the motion of matter and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure it was more than just hey, you know what I just realized? I bet that if we were moving away, time would stand still. Yeah.
I bet if we were moving away as fast as the light is getting to us, that time would appear to stand still.
Yeah.
Just because I dropped a compass on the ground. Of course. Which I get. Yes, I get it. That's part of the joke. Just of course.
Yeah. Well, various things that we've talked about were that was the whole joke that obviously Einstein didn't come from Tasmania, but it doesn't make it good.
Right. It does not make it a good picture. So after that, he has the thing. He has a thing that he's drawn. It's his energy. And then there's two splitting arrows underneath. On one side, it says waves. And one side, it says light and water. And underneath light and water, it says surf.
Yep.
And that's where he carves a surfboard out of a log on the spot. Didn't have any sanding yet. It still looked very smooth.
Right.
And
Hopped
also
right on,
figured out, hey, I should probably melt candle wax onto this so it doesn't get into the fucking wood. To invent surfing on his downtime. Young Einstein was killing it.
And that's where I wrote, how did this movie get made? That's my literal quote. Like, what are we going for here? What the fuck? Like, who read this and was like, yeah. Like, I don't know. He swindled some people to get that $5 million.
So based off of that, back to what I said in the beginning. So this movie was about an hour. And then he got $2 more million to add another half hour. What was the half hour that got added in? Like, what was this movie first? Because it's never the end or the beginning. It's some bullshit in the middle.
Probably the whole insane asylum. That whole piece was probably the half hour that got added in.
Fair.
For really no reason.
Well, before we get into their last thing, surfing, of all the different spots I looked up, is speculated no later than 400 AD.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
okay.
so 1,600 years.
Okay.
Prior to that.
At least,
if not more. And that is all, again, if we can touch back on what we started the episode with, this is white people stealing shit from not white people. Because Polynesian people have been surfing for close to 2,000 years.
Wow.
And
I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like thousands of years longer than that.
4,000 BC was the oldest thing that I Googled. Of recorded surfing.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all, just because people lived on islands and had figured out how to, like, move from one place to another, notice that shit floated, maybe like had some kind of I can stand on this and spearfish. Like
tens and 20s of thousands of years ago, fucking logs were just in the water, and they're like, "Oh shit, wood floats. Let me stand on that wood. Oh, I fall
Right.
every time. What if I change the shape?
this might balance it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this I got to figure out a way to help me eat better, and those various steps, like you just said, might lead to that.
So fuck you, Young
Yeah.
Einstein.
Right? Yeah, you didn't figure out all this shit.
Certainly not in 90 minutes,
Yeah.
asshole. That be
What are you fucking? Oh, the God damn it! I forgot his name already. We did the episode of Brian Cox.
Yeah.
with your musical career and your awards in physics and how you're a TV personality.
yeah. That at least took you
We got
20
one.
years.
Yeah, no, and he did it. He actually did
Yeah.
it too. It wasn't just he didn't just think of shit.
He didn't just think it and say it, and then cool. Here's some money eventually. But yeah, so the lunatic asylum. I feel like they leaned very heavily on stuff from this in the trailer. Like,
I didn't see a trailer, so I'm gonna
like
take your word for it.
remembering from when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I don't do a lot of that.
oh shit. The names of the other lunatics that were committed, I enjoyed. It's just silly wordplay. Like the guy named Brian Aspirin, like he had the
Right. Yeah, the bottle.
Yeah. And then the other guy said, "Oh, science! I'm keenly interested." Nice to meet you, Keenly. He just calls him Keenly for the rest of the movie. It's like, all right, that's good.
That's the name. Yeah, that was a good one
that's
too.
my jokes every day. Intentionally mishearing what was said.
What was the other guy's name? Ernest Rutherford?
Yeah,
Or-
and I think he was supposed to be the guy that wrote the book about Newton. I think that was implied
okay.
at some point.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seemed like later that crew of people was in on some shit too, or if they just didn't have enough actors. Kind of. All right, now you guys do this.
Yeah, now you guys, I guess, suddenly know about everything. And just are able to wrap your heads
You're on the
around
bad guys team. Sit here and drink and say cheers to it.
it. So the example of the speed of light being constant on a train, was that a good example? So the speed of light being constant, and the guy was like, all right, well, what if I'm on a train that's going the speed of light and I walk from the back car to the front car? Now I'm going faster than the speed of light.
Right.
No, he isn't. He's only going as fast as he's walking, right?
Right. Yeah, you can't. Like relative to you, relative to someone else, you're both going at the speed of light. Relative to you, that's moving at you can't go faster than the speed of light. It wouldn't allow it. I mean, you can't even get to the speed of light if you have mass in the first place. Only massless things can move at that speed. But for example, if you're standing still and you shine a flash, like if you think of anything else, if you're standing still and you throw a ball, versus if you're on a speeding train, you're standing on top of the speeding train and throw a ball, and measure the speed of the balls. The first ball where you're standing still, it's just the speed of the ball. But the second ball, you're actually adding the speed of the train with the speed of the ball. And so when you're standing on a train throwing it, it'll go much further. But to an observer looking at both of them, the ball when you're standing still and the ball from off the train will be moving at two different speeds. Off the train will be moving much faster. Even if you both throw at the same speed, you have to add in that momentum into the speed of the train in the first place. It's a conservation of momentum as you're going forward. Now, if you're standing still and you turn a flashlight on versus someone standing on a train and gets to the same spot and turns the flashlight on, the light from the flashlights are still moving at the same speed. They both move at the speed of light, even though one has that moving train behind it. It doesn't matter. They are relative to wherever you're standing. An observer watching both of them will see them both move at the same speed away. So,
Fuck yeah.
yeah. And that's the relativity part, because it depends on that observer that's looking at both of these that can see the two things move at the speeds.
God damn. See, I knew you was gonna say some smart shit in spite of this fucking shit show we watched.
I think I got that right. I kind of in my head it's right, but I don't know if it came out of my mouth right. My bad.
All right. Well,
yeah. I went into this like, all right, let's drink because it's a movie. So I think it came out good.
we're gonna phone it in. Also, by the way, real quick, explain special relativity to me. I think that's one of my favorite things about this is that, like, if anybody at any point in my life, even at my soberest, even if I just listened to an episode of us and have read things and someone was like, can you explain general relativity? I would be like, no. And you just step up to the plate every fucking time, like, yeah, I can say this shit.
Yeah, I'm at least swinging. If I'm going down, I'm going down swinging. I might send it.
Going down sounding like you know what you're talking about. That's all we ever ask of you.
Yeah. Delivering content.
Also, the mad scientist wing of the asylum, by the way, it was it had like a real when they were in jail in Goodfellas, like it had that same vibe. Like they were off to themselves, they were making their own food, they were taking showers together, but like no one was trying to rape each other.
Yeah, it was just an electric door, but other than that, they kind of could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, they got to hang out. It was good for them. So there were worse places to be, clearly, in there.
Yeah, like the manic depressant wing didn't look great.
But you get another good sight gag. Very, 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 very dangerous. So then Mary Curie breaks into the prison pretending to be his dad. And then,
works every time. Go right into the shower, sir.
Oh, you're his father? Clearly join him in the shower.
Speaking of, sorry, because that the large woman escorted her up to there, but then said, I don't go past here, so you can go in from here, sir. But that she broke his violin. Like, how many times did his violin get crushed and, I don't know, put back together with various different objects?
Yeah, like how many fuses and switches and just electrical parts are just laying around?
Yeah, I think his compass was part of it by the end of it. It was just like some strings and other things that were, I don't know, together somehow.
Like, I don't even know how much electricity was going around Australia at that point in history.
Right.
And he just had all the parts.
He's using a lot of it.
Yeah.
Whatever extra was all for, I guess, Albert Einstein.
Stein.
Yeah. Albert Einstein. That's what Mary Curie was calling him.
Sink. So the next note I wrote is when he breaks out, when he gets the jailbreak going, he hooks his electric violin that we just mentioned into the power lines, which I guess theoretically you could, they're unprotected circuits. there was no surge protection and shit like that. I'm sure if you had a power source coming in, that if you just cranked everything through something, you could blow out locks. So that's probably not unimaginable.
No, and especially how that was, like you said, like all the heavy electrical wiring that was through there. It was an electric door. It was it seemed ripe for the surging or over, I don't know, circuiting. Is that a thing?
Yeah, over circuiting is a thing.
Yeah, too much.
It's too many circuits.
Short circuiting, maybe. Yeah.
Those are when the circuits aren't long enough. That's a different thing.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's a different type of breaking. Yeah.
So they get out of that. They're breaking out, and the guy breaking the glass with an axe to take another axe out from I was fucking dying at that.
Yeah, that was
fucking
good.
Unnecessary and redundant things fucking kill me.
To get an identical axe.
Just take the axe you have. And if that's how the axes work, how did you get the first axe out?
Right.
What did you break that glass with?
That's like when you work in an office and someone has the red hat that they put on in case there's an emergency, and it's like, all right, follow me to the stairwell. Like you're supposed to, that's that dude who worked there. He has the axe at his desk, so he can go around and break the other one.
Fair enough. There is one guy who is allowed an axe.
Right. He has to take a training class every year and shit like that. Gets certified.
He gets a body spray just for attending the class. All right, that's as good as that joke's gonna get. So the cook is an inmate, or is that just standard Australian cuisine from 120 years ago?
No, they just, I guess, at this place they hired the biggest asshole possible to make the food. There was the stuff he was. First of all, the stuff he was serving that was like green slop with shrimp in it. I don't know what was going on there, but you didn't have to make it like that. You could have done a little. Like, I think you had to try harder to make it that awful than if you just like had shrimp.
The amount of green. I did have the thought either the first or second time through of, oh my God, there's no way Shallon would eat that. Shallon wouldn't eat any of this.
They would force a hunger strike on me.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess I'm on hunger strike. I don't know why, but I'm on hunger strike for something. Hunger strike to get better food.
You would be the guy at the train tracks, just running and I just won't ever eat again. If this is the shit you're gonna serve me, I'm tapping out.
I would take a couple of those shrimp out of there and get to a sink. Wash that nonsense off.
Sneak them back to the mad scientist's wing. They had them in their own cage. They got a wing.
Yeah, they had a wing. I don't even think it would be sneaking. You just got to wait for the cook to leave the room. And be like, all right, I'll take it from here. Yeah.
But reason I bring him up is because this fucking asshole put 6 kittens into a pie tin and just throws pie crust on top, which apparently he makes a thick crust because that's the only reason they were alive.
Yeah. They were very alive too, luckily, even though that thing was crispy.
Yeah.
But that whole scene, like you said, the whole harming of animals thing, this is the one that jumped out at me that I was like, I'm uncomfortable with this in general.
Yeah, like it was like I throw blankets and towels and shirts on my cats all the time just because they're just hanging out and just like, cool, now you're covered in shit, because that's funny. But but yeah, just piling them into I think it was him poking through with the fork. Like that was like, like you might be. You're coming real close to stabbing a cat with a fork right now. There are 6 kittens in there, dude. Are you sure where all their bodies are right now?
Yeah. hardcore tip of toe right up to that
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
But yeah, so that I was more afraid for that than the actual cats being put in the oven because I
Yeah,
would hope
obviously
the
I knew
cats
that
weren't
shit was
put in the
fake. It
oven.
was just a red
It
arrow.
was just
Yeah.
the guy stabbing through pie crust with a fork at 6 kittens.
Even when they, like you said, flopping the dough on tiny kittens in the first place, they're pretty fragile.
Yeah.
So I don't know how heavy that was to flop it on. And then, stabbing through at their meowing bodies. Seemed like PETA wouldn't be happy,
No.
right? Or PETA, however you say that.
I don't know how they'd say it in Australia. Oh, this fucking cunt again. I believe they called PETA.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they would say it.
This fucking cunt coming in here trying to give us this fucking fuck you and your whole fucking. I sound more like a bull shark. My apologies. My accent's sliding in and out.
I guess there's like less compassion for animals if you grew up having to fist fight kangaroos at the bus stop and shit.
Not to make this terrible, but I do know for a fact that Australia is, and I just remembered this. At least I'm pretty sure that they are overrun with cats to the point that they are considered like invasive, and that you're allowed to just kill cats because there's too many of them.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know when this started, but again, it's people bringing shit to a colony that didn't have
Was on its own plate.
Yeah, had its whole own shit, and now there's just cats everywhere. Again, not that I'm telling you to kill cats, Australia. I heard you were doing it. I heard it was up to you. I heard you guys are doing it.
Yeah. Whatever you gotta do. I mean, we do it with deer up
Absolutely.
here, right?
We kill cats with deer up here. So it's...
Yeah. It's the best way.
You
should look into it, Australia.
You pick up a 600-pound deer and you just hit cats. Just bat them.
If they have antlers, it's quicker. Just right through.
What the fuck are we talking about?
I don't know how we ended up there now.
Oh, well, to make it light again, thick crusts save kittens.
Yeah.
Because the guy turned it up way past hot and very hot, the oven, straight on to broil. And the crust was cooked. And then Einstein stole the pie, ran away with it, let them out, and they were fine. But the crust looked delicious. I would have had vanilla ice cream on that crust.
Absolutely looked delicious. That was the worst part about it. I was like, oh, fuck, I would probably eat it.
I would eat that crust.
But the cat, yeah, not the cat meat. That's disgusting. But even in proximity, it's like, that's a good crust.
It's a very good crust. So...
Yeah.
So then after that, he goes back into his hotel room again.
But before that, though, this has to be one of those bits that was added on, like you're talking about, because they added a scene with the cook cooking some cats, and then a scene with Einstein saving said cats that had no bearing on the plot at all. Like, we just moved on.
None of it.
That happened. That happened like serving, and next.
Yeah, so... Yeah. I get him going into the insane asylum as a device for Preston to jam him up so he can get away with his plot to steal the EMC so he can make bubbles and beer.
Yeah, and we have Marie Curie coming in and firing him up by smacking him, and he has to go do something. So there's a whole bunch.
But that had no, as you said, no bearing on the plot. You cut out the entire, just get him breaking out of jail, They have a whole jailbreak, and it looks like everybody's getting out, and that's fine. And then why does he go through the kitchen? Like, why is that the way out?
Just to get. He knew cats were being cooked somehow.
He's just like if he could invent surfing on a whim, I bet he knows when cats are getting cooked.
It's another of his gifts.
He could totally tell that was going to happen. So they get back into the hotel, and I went from giving them shit to the prostitutes are probably the most relatable characters in this movie, as they don't just understand things and they ask follow-up questions, even though they're like asking the most ridiculous. We can't rectify how how this is doing with that. And like I said, I can't. I didn't.
You don't know those words. But no, I get it. It's closer than at least.
Yeah, instead of
the guy behind the counter going, you don't get it. Yeah.
Told yous.
Yeah, exactly.
But so Marie Curie leaves.
Which this was probably my third favorite joke. Is that all she left behind was a croissant?
Not only did so he goes to her room or wherever she was staying. He goes there. There's a croissant on the floor. She's taken everything with her. She left a croissant, but she took the paintings inside the frames, but left the frames empty on the wall.
I didn't even notice that. Let's get new frames there.
These are my paintings. I brought them with me. No, she's not French or Polish. How do you like that, Mary Curie?
We could do that too.
Yeah. So then he goes from he gets a note from the dude at the hotel who has Mary left for him. It's got her address on it. And he decides to go to Paris. Or to France, rather, which is where Paris is. So I'm right. Anyway, by the way, Australia to Paris by boat, Sydney to Paris by boat, is about a month. Again, they didn't give time frames on stuff, but it was an open top boat. It was motor powered. They don't explain why it's motor powered. Oh.
It just had one stack in the middle, right?
It looked to be a steam engine, which, where's your wood? How is your steam being produced?
He's boiling the ocean as he goes.
And I'm going to bring up another thing, which I meant to bring up at any point, but I'm glad it waited this long. I don't even know that we said it. He lives on an apple farm. In the beginning. Yeah. This motherfucker just has apples on him at all times. Like he's just pulling apples out. Just take it. And he's wasteful. He's wasteful with them. He takes like 3 to 5 bites tops and just throws apples away. Like, where are you keeping all these apples, bro?
And hey, how do they keep for this long? They're still crunchy.
Yeah, how are they still? They're clearly crisp. We can hear it. They sound delicious.
Right.
What are you doing?
This story has been the better part of a year so far. These apples are still okay. You spent a month at sea.
And you still have apples.
Yeah.
Fucking scoundrel. So they get to he gets to France, and he gets to Marie Curie's house, to her parents' house, actually, who are also French and not Polish.
Right.
And
again, Google did not exist.
Not at all. it's so at the same. These are two. It's like Star Wars and the fact that two things are going on at the same time that kind of are building towards the same thing. There is the Science Academy Awards, which I don't know if that's what they're called.
Well, in this universe they are, but yeah, I don't think that's a thing.
And also, Albert Einstein is meeting up with Mary Curie's parents and her to go save the day because Preston is trying to win an award for stealing the EMC equals MC squared. And wouldn't you know it, there is a hot air balloon for Albert Einstein to take, which, by the way, they said it is hundreds of kilometers away from where they are in France to Paris. And the ceremony has already started. And a hot air balloon moves 8 to 10 miles per hour on average.
Yikes.
So,
probably could have ran.
Yeah, that probably would.
Yeah.
Or he could have taken his rental bike. That
would have been much
his
quicker on a
fucking
bike. Yeah.
big front wheel bike. Yeah, that would have gotten them there way quicker. Especially if they were going down some hills. They would have been killing it. If there was
I guess they just had to add the scene where the hot air balloon went, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. And it was, I'm okay.
And it did that
Again.
all sounds and all people's reactions. Like, it was not in the budget to show a hot air balloon zipping around in the sky.
Right.
As was heavily implied by the noises.
Right. That's how you save.
Again, this $5 million budget, $25 million box office. This
Right.
was a success. So we can shit on it all we want.
Yeah. No. Jokes on everyone else.
What a hoodwinking.
Right.
So, at the do you have anything? Okay, cool.
No.
Cool. So,
I was looking down in anticipation.
The Science Academy Awards. There's a lot of heavy hitters from science at this fucking thing. Firstly, they mention Thomas Edison with his first electric light bulb. The Wright brothers, Sigmund Freud, Charles Darwin.
MC.
Yeah. Firstly, at this point, this just turns into fucking Bill and Ted. Like, you just
Right.
get
Caricatures.
all the greatest people in all of history, bro.
Right.
But
There's Sigmund Freud with his mom and mom jokes.
Yeah. But so he died in 1939, so technically conceivable. The Wright brothers thing happened. Flying a plane for the first time that I just shrugged off as a thing.
Right.
That whole schlemiel. 1903 that happened. Edison's first bulb was in 1879. I feel like he would have gotten some credit
Already.
24 years after having done so.
Okay.
Charles Darwin died in 1882.
Yeah.
And now I feel like the end of Black Sheep, yet he still managed to make his way to the Science Academy Awards to cast his vote. It was just like, all right, you guys are just trying to shove as much shit as you can into the fucking the final thing.
So again, yeah, like someone should have went to the library or something. Like that can't cost that much.
No, just have.
It's like still during writing, and it's free.
The atomic chamber. So that's what it was. Preston brings in his invention with the E equals MC squared. Oof, almost butchered that one. His invention that perpetuates that theory is the atomic chamber. And young Einstein looks at it and goes, an atomic chamber? That splits millions of atoms. Or that might have been Charles Darwin. But either way, splits millions of atoms? This whole shit
Right.
still, to this day, to 2023 now, it's only splitting one atom at a time, correct?
Yeah, it's a chain reaction. It's kind of like it splits one and then it branches off and splits another one and then splits more and like sets off a chain reaction.
Okay.
I don't know what the number is. I don't know if it's millions, but it's eventually more than one.
I didn't even realize that. Wow.
That's why like there's different size nukes over time that they have. Like the Tsar bomber was the biggest nuclear explosion ever set off. That's all about payload. How much of that stuff they have that actually again sets it off.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. So does yeah.
So the whole time I've been thinking it's just every atom bomb is just splitting one atom.
Oh man. No, yeah, it is multiple. I think one does set off. I don't know how much energy it sets off, but it's still an explosion.
Cool shit.
But yeah.
All right. Well, another point to young Einstein.
Was that like
That
3
tops?
Right. There's a lot of negs,
most.
a lot of negatives. Yeah.
All right.
Einstein, I think this movie. All right, so that's 3 positive integers for points. I think there's a lot of negatives to balance it out, and there's a lot of imaginary numbers that we could probably use to score this as well.
When Einstein warns about the atomic chamber being a bomb, Darwin continues the trend of say it to me vaguely once and I'll understand it entirely.
Right.
You know,
Immediately.
yeah, it's like, wait, so if that's going to happen, then this is definitely going to be the subsequent result of this. God damn it.
Right. I expertly understand this new information,
Yeah.
and now I can make a prediction better than you.
I've been dead for 22 years at this point. I must know everything. And this, so young Albert Einstein's solution is to take his violin, which is now a guitar for some reason, and plug it in, because you can just plug things into things even if they don't have plugs.
You can figure it out
because
yeah. It had 3 prongs that plugged into nothing.
It's just 3 prongs that plugged into a wall. No outlet necessary. He would drain enough from playing what sounded like chunky 80s thrash metal at times, and then it turned into some bullshit. Sounded like it was going to kick ass.
Way to describe it. Yeah.
But so while that's happening, they cut back to the dudes in the mad scientist wing and go, oh, 4/4 time signature. That'll drain the power out of anything. And it's like that.
Well, what does that mean?
Nothing to do with. I even looked up.
Those are just words.
So I looked up to angrily attack it. And while Meshuggah's bleed is listed at 4/4, it's technically a polyrhythm, so it falls under 4/3. But yeah, anything Dillinger kicks more ass than anything fucking Young Einstein played, and none of that's in 4/4. At least not more. More than 20 to 30 seconds in a fucking clip.
Yeah.
So yeah, doesn't
Fuck
have
you
to be
guys.
doesn't have to be 4/4. Fuck out of here with that shit.
And like 4/4 music, like that's the easiest one. That's been around forever.
4/4. All it means is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if the music fits into that framework, that's it. It can be fast. It can be slow. You're not taking BPMs into account. You're not taking other shit into account. Just 4/4. It must be. That'll drain the power out of anything.
Yeah. What?
Bullshit.
Yeah, like Mozart. And,
yeah.
I don't know. That shit was around.
Yeah, all of it. And every music that was around. Fucking Gregorian monk chant that was 600 years prior to that. Probably, I don't know. I have no idea what time signatures those are in.
There's probably portions that were 4/4. There had to have been, just because it's the fucking easiest shit.
We'll ask Enya. Enya knows about Gregorian monk chants.
Yeah.
And she's Australian, right?
Get
Enya on the phone right now. Enya! Get on the phone. Right now.
Tag her in this. Tagged in this episode.
Oh, shit. Friend of the show, Enya.
What do we got? We got Enya, Mark Henry, Ice
Bobby
Cube,
Brown.
Bobby Brown, that's right. That's the newly crowned. That's a good crew. I bet Enya's wondering how she got involved, but she is. Deal with it.
A bunch of black American dudes and Enya.
Who can say what the road can bring or something, right?
We can't say who chooses us to be friends with. So as Albert Einstein is getting burned yet again in the movie for the last time.
I do like that they conveniently built those little decal windows on the side of that atom slicer, so you would know when it's getting to be a problem, and then also you would know that you've played enough electric guitar to get it back to manageable state.
It's like it was overheating, but because he plugged the guitar into nothing, clearly it's gone back down to just making beer again.
Yeah.
And then right after that, he says, as he's frying and turning different colors, "I'm all right. They're only electrons." Which, like,
and Marie Curie should know that's like loose electrons. Isn't that basically radiation?
Exactly. Doesn't that?
Yeah.
As we mentioned on her episode, we know what she's got in them bones, and she hasn't showed back up to tell us what's in them bones. So
yeah,
it's obviously not good.
Yeah.
Electrons equals bad. Yahoo Serious.
It's fine. It's only electrons. Yeah. Not that fine.
Also, I loved the amount of time. So Preston is like, "You son of a bitch," and pulls a gun out because Albert Einstein has fucked up his plans. So he's like, "Fine, I'm gonna shoot you, or I'm gonna try to shoot you, which will cause the bomb to go off and kill everybody and possibly all of Paris." Or shoot a gun at the bomb, which might go off and still kill everybody in all of Paris. And the best part is, he pulls the gun out. He rests it on his arm. Marie Curie sees it. And then a second later, she's behind him with the Academy of Science Award, which, yes, it was possible for her to get behind him because there was a 2-sided staircase thing. But that would have taken at least 25 to 30 seconds. Given what she was wearing in her period piece, like she was probably wearing a corset. Women couldn't breathe in them. That's why they made those fucking chaise lounges so women could just pass out because they can't breathe because they're wearing clothes that are too tight. Now you're doing fucking cardio upstairs to hit a guy in the
and knocking this dude out
in time.
While he's aiming a gun
with a tremendous magnifying glass on it.
That's one thing guns are known for is being fast. They're very it's fast.
Once the musket thing ended, once the whole dump some shit in there and then churn butter into the fucking end of the nozzle for fucking a minute before you lit a fuse. Yeah, that was a tiny little Derringer looking thing. Anywho, Einstein saved the day.
Of course he did. And he's also explosion resistant as fuck. Because that was probably the third one.
Oh, also the other thing, back to when he was playing, I don't remember where this happened exactly, but he was playing the electric violin in the bathtub in his room. And I was like, do you only play the violin in the tub? Do you not know about electrics and water yet? You guys have electrics. You haven't figured out electrics and water yet?
I guess not. And but that was his comfortable spot. That's where he goes to play guitar. Yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't know. No. Yeah, add it to the list.
So he ends up back in Tasmania, the hero. And
back home to mom and dad.
And then they had the preachy, then snarky moment. I'm going to donate this to all nations so they can all do nice things. If you can't trust the government, what can you trust? Yeah.
I kept waiting for them to look at the camera for that, but thankfully it was almost there.
The music cut out and they just kind of looked around at each other awkwardly. It was like, all right. Yeah. I would have enjoyed them looking straight down the barrel and just saying something ridiculous. If they just looked down the barrel of the camera and just throw another shrimp on the barbie, I might, I would have been fine with that. Yeah. And my last note, we said at the top, I hate anachronistic music in the movie or in any movie and show.
I almost turned it off I made it all this way and I almost turned it off during the song just because it was the song from the opening credits. Right. So we already heard it. It already played. And now he's lip syncing it and they're all going nuts and everything. And I hated that. We already, I guess it's kind of similar to yours. We already heard this as a soundtrack to the movie during the credits, and now he's playing it in the movie. The idea that it already existed as a piece
Right.
of. I don't know. I hated that. It took me out of it.
Somewhere else. It already
Yeah.
exists somewhere else. I only have so much disbelief to suspend.
Right.
Knock it off.
This is where I'm not on purpose, but this is where I'm drawing the line.
However, if they did safety dance, I would have lost my shit in a good way. I probably would have been fine with that.
It's one of the classics. We get it.
But yeah, so I guess watch Young Einstein. Your call.
Right. If you have absolutely nothing else to do and you have the Tubi app, it's free at least.
And what's good about Tubi, this is the only time I think I'll ever say it. What's good about Tubi is it has commercials, so you can get a breather. You can get up and walk around a little bit and just like, what the fuck am I doing? Do I have nothing better to do? Oh, it's back on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll hear him.
Right. It's not long enough that you're going to disengage, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Young Einstein. All right.
It's Young Einstein. So, yeah, go watch it or don't. I don't care. We covered all the hot points.
My favorite thing about it though is that it's 35 years old and we're just coming now to scathingly tear it down.
Again, the movie that made $25 million on a $5 million budget. I mean,
right? That is
fucking
respect.
Australia just living up to it being a prison colony, just hoodwinking the planet, hoodwinking Warner Brothers, which was getting ready to release Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Oh wow!
Let's get this because that came out in '89. This came out in '88.
Right.
Let's get this pile of shit from Australia. Just hoping it's going to do as good as Crocodile Dundee.
Right. The second Crocodile Dundee didn't do as good as Crocodile Dundee. Like that.
Like this didn't do as good as Rocky IV or Fatal Attraction.
That's big in Australia. Fatal Attraction's huge. I'm glad I learned something on this podcast. The Fatal Attraction is huge in Australia.
Oh shit. Well, anyways, Under the Guise of Science, always spelled Guise. Under the Guise of Science at Gmail, on Facebook, on Instagram. Where else we at?
We are Under the Guise of Science on TikTok, Under the Guise of Science on YouTube, and at Science Guys on Twitter, always spelled Guise. And as always, listen to Fart Bar.
And our Baked Potatoes episode is out. Let us know if you liked it, because we have 2 more that we haven't put out yet, which we're going to regardless of whether or not you like it. But yeah, just let us know if you're into it. Let us know if you like.
Yeah, we like opinions.
We like wrestling. One of us more than the other.
Quite a bit.
But yeah, see you next time, you fuckers.